podcast again today. We went to Allison the Bookman. I was telling Annette, who owns and runs the store now, that I kind of only found out about Allison the Bookman probably, I don't know, maybe 5-6 years ago, which is sad because I've been here since, permanently since 2006. Also, just before I keep going, I'd like to give a shout out to Cheryl Clark for bringing in all of the chocolate. Joy. That's what it brings me. Keep it coming, Cheryl. Keep it coming. Okay. Anyway, so I'm going to eat this little kiss in a second. But Allison the Bookman, it's an experience, guys. It's an experience. You don't just go in there to get a book because they have all kinds of stuff. They have a really good selection of comic books. They have all kinds of National Geographic. They have any kind of magazine you could possibly want. They have a whole kids section. They have an antique section. And you'll see if you're watching this podcast, Ben, my producer, got an awesome picture of this beautiful Dickens book. Massive. They're pieces of art. They really are. These older books. They're beautiful. And I started going there because I love the North Bay Library. Don't get me wrong. But I'm a slower reader. I can't dedicate days or an entire afternoon to sitting down and reading. So I always read before I go to bed. But depending on how tired I am that particular night, I might be reading the same sentence over and over for a few nights in a row. You know what I mean? And then I start to do one of those things. So going to Allison the Bookman, you can do consignment, which is so cool because I get 90% of my clothing from my consignment shop. New to you, Christy. I'm getting you on the show. You and your mom have to come on here. But anyways, I do. And so I love this with books. I can go in there, you open an account and you can get all your books. And then when you're done, you bring them back so someone else can enjoy them. And then that goes towards, your next book. So you don't have the kind of looming, library due date over your head. So you can kind of take your time and read the books that you bring home, which I love. Anyways, it was great talking with Annette. And with that, let's head over to Allison the Bookman. Oh, but not before we thank our show sponsor, Twig's Coffee Roasters. This is To North Bay with Love, and I'm Lisa Boivin.
North Bay Echo is proud to partner with Twig's Coffee Roasters, a part of the community since 1995. Twigs offers a wide selection of quality beans, fresh roasted in-house every day. Find your favorite specialty drinks at our espresso bar, rejuvenate with freshly squeezed juice, or treat yourself to mouth-watering selections from our gourmet deli. And don't forget our irresistible fresh baked goods, including uncompromising gluten-free options. Twigs has 5 locations to serve you from North Bay to Sturgeon Falls to Sudbury. Order online for pickup at twigs.ca. And coming soon, you'll be able to order fresh roasted coffee beans direct to your doorstep from our distribution center in North Bay.
So I'm here with Annette. How many times do you get called Allison?
Pretty much every time I work.
Okay, so first of all, I need the history because I purposely didn't do any research. I want to know kind of how Allison the Bookman came to be and how that title happened and when you took it over.
So it's actually our family last name. So it's a Scottish last name. And that was my grandparents. So my grandfather, Gord Allison, it was his dream to have an organized bookstore because he had been, of course, in a lot of different ones, and he hated the stacks everywhere and the lack of real organization. So my grandmother basically told him he was a postman here in North Bay at the time, and she basically told him you need to do it. So in 73 or 72, they started collecting books from people.
Okay.
And then in 1973 was when they finally got enough together that they opened up the front section where our desk and all that is. That's the 342 side. And then they just gradually kept moving around and moving back until they bought the building in 1986. And then my grandparents were running it together until my grandfather passed in 95. I want to make sure. April of 95, he had passed of Lou Gehrig's. So my grandmother took over, and then my dad took over from her. And then when my dad passed in 2011, I was actually living in Wisconsin with my husband because he's American. And he is American. And so he and I talked about it, and we said, like, let's try and save the legacy store. And then he was taking me back and forth for about 10 years to keep the store going and make sure it made it to its 50th, which we just did last year. So
50th. Okay. And so you're here now? Like, home base is here now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are everyone, like, is everyone tall in your family?
I'm going to say no.
You're very tall. I love it.
I have two nephews that are 6'3" and 6'2". And other than that, like the grandmother that is still around on my mom's side, she's only 4'10".
Oh, she's just a little bitty. Oh, she's like a little button.
Everybody else was like 6 foot.
Okay.
Just about. Okay. So I'm not sure exactly where the height comes from, but yeah.
I got gypped on my height, man. I got size 9 feet. Yeah. Like, and I'm 5'6". Like, sorry, where's my other 2 inches? Thank you. I'm very sturdy, though. You can't knock me over. Okay. There's so many things going on in the store, and it's incredible. I was walking around before you came, and then I noticed a whole shelf full of Reader's Digest. I love Reader's Digest because my parents were avid readers. My mom is a crazy reader. She's a readaholic. She just goes through novel after novel, or anything. But I think really I was thinking about it. Like, that's when I really got hooked on reading as a kid. Like, they always read to us, but then they started getting Reader's Digest. They started getting National Geographic. And they were always on the coffee table. They were always like somewhere, right? So it was something that I just always grabbed. And I love Reader's Digest because it was just these like little stories and I could get through it and, easily as a small kid. I loved it. So you have, maybe just give us a little bit of, like, if somebody's going to walk into Allison's, it is very organized. It really is it's very easy to find things. But again, the staff is so helpful too. But maybe, like, I don't know, give like an overview of kind of all the different things that you can find here, because it's not just novels, right? Like, there's all kinds.
So because of the collectibles and there's magazines, there's everything kind of it's a value to somebody, or it's just known to be a collectible topic. So there's the magazines, there's children's books. We get the box sets and stuff in from people a lot. The odd time I bring in new stuff as well. So, the new type of things that we bring in is bags, bookmarks. Sometimes we'll have journals. We try to stick to, like, there's a girl that has a company locally here that's called The Thread. Okay. So she's the one that's making all of our book sleeves and little page finders. Everything's out of material. She's a teacher here in North Bay. So she's started with us last Christmas, and then we've just been kind of progressing and working together, and she's been building up different things that she's wanted to put together. There's some magnetic bookmarks that we've been getting for, I want to say, almost 20 years from a couple in Quebec that my dad, I don't know if he met them, but he clearly knew them well. So he started getting these magnetic bookmarks from them. It's Colbert Artistry. So we try to stick to things like that. And then we also bring in now, since Gulliver's closing, oh my gosh, my brain is messing up here. The Northern Ontario authors, we started with just local. It's kind of spread out to more Northern Ontario, just to kind of give a variety and a little bit more of a voice to some of the authors that are out there that are struggling to get into the market. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Walking around, I also see, there's that kind of poster, like between these two kind of plexiglass things with these babies. Can you tell us the story of the babies? Because I see them every time and I'm like, what is behind the story? What is this?
I think actually it was something that was done, because it's my aunt's writing on it, my Aunt Chris. She had a great sense of humor. My grandfather pretty much just enabled that sense of humor. So once she saw these pictures in like an old magazine, she took them all, put them into that. And it used to be just on just the cork board. And then my dad put a plexi piece over it to salvage them. And now everybody just knows that they're here.
I love it. And there's like little sayings, right? Yeah, like their expression. It'll be like, oh, I didn't know that, or whatever. Like she's written stuff under it, like their expressions.
Yeah, and I haven't done any like rewriting on it or anything like that, just because I know it's my aunt's writing. So
exactly,
she passed away very young. So yeah, I keep that one around, especially for her. And there's like a picture that's out there that's a memorial for her, that because she used to work here for a number of years as well. Yeah. And was assistant manager for my grandmother. And
what's her name? Because I did see a picture out there.
Yeah, Christine Allison or Gauthier. Yes. So yeah,
and that's the other thing I love too. Like I kind of always head over to the Canadian section, the fiction, because I love my Linwood Barclay. But I was in there, and then I love how there'll be like a little sign or little picture frame, and it'll say "You are here," and it'll say this part is part of our office. Welcome, and then then about people, but. That's what I love about Allison is like you get to see people in the community or maybe who were in the community before we were here, right? Like just generations past that have now handed things down. Maybe just tell us, like, it must just be really cool to like walk around here and just kind of have that familiar, and see your family like in different shelves.
I know right where we're standing in order to raise funds for building this back section, my grandparents had a big, huge yard sale in here before they broke out the wall after they first took it over. So I see the little things of us, running around in here. I was pretty young at the time, running around in all the aisles. That's why I decided for the 50th to do the signage that you see around the store, like above the table and up at the front where the comic books used to be, because everybody remembers the bins and bins of comics. So I made sure to put a sign that one of the pictures that I had from my grandparents' stuff of the comic area. And yeah, it's just, there's a lot of little things that, my dad and my grandmother built a large majority of the bookshelves in here. My husband's kind of taken over the reins on building some of the extra ones that we need now. There's a lot of all of them in here. So it's
a lot of memories and that's
it can be very haunting some days where you walk around and you kind of feel them. But it's and not to get all like spiritual or anything like that, but it's just a feeling that you have, that everybody's been in here and they've done something. And yeah,
I feel that. I'm totally into spiritual stuff, so I definitely feel that. Yeah, you can feel their presence, right? Because they were here, they walked the same floors and touched some of the same books and stuff. So and that's what I love too, is like, I was thinking it's kind of like a one-stop shop, because at the front you have like little dog toys, and then you have some, office supplies, and you have some knitting stuff. There's even knitting like needles and stuff. Like there's like whatever you need, come in Allison's.
Well, we brought them. My dad actually, he was starting up a little dollar store kind of area before he passed away, but after careful consideration, I just kind of watched to see what was actually selling and decided that, okay, the rest of it, we're just going to clearance it, get rid of it. We'll expand our new books. And so the sections that you see up front now are the ones that, for whatever reason, sell really well. Pets was their biggest shocker because we had no idea. But so people come in for that stuff and just, quick, easy things with stationery, envelopes. And the knitting thing was, we had our craft area there and people started saying, oh, they've got little knitting needles and crochet hooks. So that kind of took off too. So I just kind of expanded those 3 little areas. And then we had cards and poker chips.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and bingo dabbers. So people were grabbing those as they saw them. And
all right, guys, let's take a little break from Allison the Bookman to thank one of our major sponsors for the Echo Network, Source for Sports North Bay. Now, admittedly, I don't do sports. I love to work out on my own. I did one summer of T-ball that my mother made me do, and I hated every minute of it. However, There are many people who love sports. I love to watch sports. Don't get me wrong. I've seen every Netflix sports documentary there is to man, known to man. And I love sports. I love to watch them. I just don't play them. But Source for Sports is a community hub for all things sports in North Bay. They want to be a part of your family's sports journey. They're huge advocates and supporters of local sport on so many levels. Their products range, I didn't know this, they range and they cater to the needs of the community. So from team uniforms to apparel, fan gear, a huge selection of top-of-the-line equipment for any sport you need. They respond to our community needs, whatever we need in our community. They're there serving all levels and types of sport, which is awesome. And they also have expertise. So they also play sports. They're not just selling sports equipment and stuff, but they're out there and actually experiencing different sports. So they can really give you like hands-on advice and their expertise as to like what you would need to play that particular sport, which is really cool. No matter what experience level, from first time to seasoned professionals, they will take the time to educate you and help you get what you need. Wherever your sports journey takes you, make sure you visit Source for Sports North Bay at 1321 Fisher Street, so Paul and his team can help you along your way.
It's time to Toyota at North Bay Toyota. Attention truck lovers. Have you been Tundra struck? The powerful and dependable Toyota Tundra is the new definition of grit. Ask us about amazing lease deals on a 2025 Tundra Double Cab SR 4-wheel drive and experience ingenious levels of capability, technology, and refinement. Or maybe you're an SUV lover? Take advantage of a limited shipment of 2025 RAV4s and discover the perfect blend of style, comfort, and efficiency in a compact SUV that ignites your desire to explore. Right now, get excellent lease deals on the Toyota RAV4 LE all-wheel drive and more. It's time to Toyota at North Bay Toyota, 640 McEwen, or online at northbaytoyota.com for details.
Your staff is so helpful too. And that's one thing that's, certainly you can go to Kohl's or you can go to, the library and stuff and ask, do you have this book or do you have that book? There's something so community about that. And there's just something so like small town. And so now it's like when I walk in, I can just be like, hey girl, okay, hook me up. You know what I mean? And she just like brings me in the back. She'll be like, hey, what are you into now? And so it's just that familiarity. And I'm just wondering if you have people who've been coming here for like 50 years or even 20 years, or like, do you have your regulars?
Oh, gosh, yes. Yeah, we have a lot of regulars. There's some that recognize me still from the 90s when I was first working here after my grandfather passed. And one of the things that he always taught me and what I kind of observed in watching everybody that was here back then was just listening to your customers. If you don't read that genre, make sure that you're watching what other people are buying with it, being mindful of, because I'm not a sci-fi fantasy reader, but I can tell a lot of different authors and I know who writes like who, and each one of my team members reads differently. So, and I'm the only one that kind of leans more to the nonfiction side. So, but again, I've been in here my whole life, so this is how I'll know older authors, or somebody will come in and say, oh, I need the book called September. I'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, I get that. It's Pilcher. And they're like, how did you know that? I'm like, just osmosis. So, but and each one of my team members, they do a lot of the same things. They keep watch on the want list. They are constantly bringing in the books, so they're seeing what people are bringing in together, and I think that makes a huge difference. And with the regulars, you just kind of get to know what they like, and there's one lady that calls up and says, do you have any more for me? And we have books aside for her, and she's housebound, so we do delivery for her. And
no way. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, we do that for anybody in North Bay, but she's one of our long-term customers that she's been around for a very long time. So we'll do anything to help her out and that. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I love too, like in all the little nooks, there's a lot of little chairs sitting around too, right? So it's kind of, it's not just like get your book and get out. Like you kind of encourage people, like maybe sit down and like read a few pages, see if it's your thing, like it's very comfy and cozy. And I mean, obviously, people listening to this or watching it, there's no like smell-o-vision, but I love the smell. As soon as I walk in there's something just so like alive about and like historical about the smell. I just love the smell of books, and like there's kind of a mustiness to it, but like not in a bad way. Like it's cool.
The old book smell is what we call it. It's just it's not a musty smell. It's an old book paper smell. You can tell that stuff's been around. There's been a lot of hands touching each
which is the other thing too, is like, I mean, do you think that bookstores will ever go away for good? Because, you got all these Kindles now, you have all these, like it's the internet, everybody's on their phones. But I love a tangible book. Like I love, especially when I get one from here, because quite often there'll be like a name at the beginning, and you're kind of like, I wonder who that person was. Like I wonder where they were when they were reading this, or why they read this, or what they thought. Like there's just something so cool about having that book in your hand.
I think that... I know my dad did a news article with the Nugget back when e-readers were just coming out. And like he said back then, he would just learn to adapt. I think that what we're seeing now, and especially since the pandemic and that, is that there's been a resurgence of readers wanting to just break away from phones and tablets and computers. And they want something that they can tangibly feel and hold and just enjoy and know they're getting something for their money and not just, a little piece of digital stuff that they can't really do anything with. So, and I think some of that changes, you get a lot of generation families coming in. They're like, oh, I'm bringing my kids in, and oh, I'm bringing my grandkids in. And I think that as the new generations that are raising children are coming up, they're realizing there's a lot of power behind books, and that it's important to keep pushing those to your children and making it a fun thing and not a chore. Like when you're in school, you have to read this novel. Teaching your children that it's fun first. Yeah. And I think that there's a lot of parents that are doing that now that I think is going to make a huge difference.
Yeah. So, my mom and I came in, we brought my two nieces. I have an older brother and sister-in-law here, and they're really big readers, and both my nieces are huge readers. They're all, like, I can't believe they're more of a reader than I was at their age. Like they're 14 and 12, and they just like devour and whole series of books, and they just, they can't wait. And it's just so refreshing. Like I love that. Like we walked in and right away, Lucy's like spitting off all these different, I wonder if they have any this books or these books or that books. And I'm like, how do you know all these authors? What is going on? I feel so like not educated right now. Like but I love that, right? And it's a generational thing. It's like, it's just great to hand that down. And like you said, huge power in reading, that's knowledge.
And there's a lot of people that, what we noticed during the pandemic, were coming back to read classics. They figured they had time, so that could delve them back. They were delving back into doing the classics at that point. And we were seeing a huge amount of classics going out the door during the pandemic. Yeah. But yeah, just people in general that were getting tired of watching television, and they'd end up being like, well, I thought I'd just give a book a try. So what do you recommend? And I'm like, I don't know what you like.
That's a question.
So yeah, we usually say, what's your likes, what's your dislikes? And you kind of got to get to know to get to go to what they actually are going to enjoy. If you're more of a fantasy watcher, you're probably going to enjoy a fantasy book over just a regular mystery. Yeah. And so, it's just little things like that.
Yeah. And books can be so beautiful too. Like I was looking in the antiquarium room? Yep. It was, oh my God, huge Dickens novel. Oh, yeah. And it's beautiful. Like it's gold, along the seams. And then like, there's just how it was bound with this beautiful, like the front cover and back cover, so thick. And like, they're beautiful books too. Like we forget that they can be art pieces as well.
Well, and especially with our classics section here, and you can kind of see on the back wall there, you have like the Harvard classics and just older Harvard classics. They all have different spines, different stories in them. They talk about different authors from the periods, and a lot of people will come in and they want to collect those too. So, And then they'll sit there and they'll tell me about how they read this author, this author, this author. So, yeah, there's a lot of beauty in some of the older authors' books and how they used to print them, especially in the early 1800s and 1900s.
Yeah.
I would say not early 1800s as much. Those were very pretty too, but 1900s, especially like the late 1800s to 1900s, were very graphic.
Yeah.
So they had a lot of details on their covers at that time too. Yeah.
So no regrets moving here from Wisconsin.
No, not yet. Well, my husband will say the winters.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
He's already tired of the winter.
And it's only just begun.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Yeah. So, I mean, but outside of that, I mean, no. I mean, this is my hometown too. So I grew up here, and I think that having the flexibility to go and visit his family, because his kids actually live in Oregon and his parents were down in Arizona, and his brother. So, yeah, we've got a lot of reasons to go back down to some warmer states.
Arizona sounds nice about now, but anyways, well, we are so lucky that you did come back and continued this, because it's a treasure. It's a North Bay treasure. And I love this store so much. So get down to Allison the Bookman. You got to come here. It's an experience. It's not just coming to get a book. It's a whole, you're smelling things, you're seeing things, it's just a whole feeling being in here. It's really cool.
Well, we do have, because my husband created our website during the pandemic as well, and recreated our web store. We have that ability now where people can actually go online, reserve their books, and come in as they are able, and not have to worry about it too. And they can pay in advance too, but typically most people just do pick up and all that fun stuff. So yeah, we've been shipping out for people for years, and there's customers that come from Ottawa and all over Canada that say, hey, I just want to get my books from you, so can you ship them to me?
Oh my God, that's awesome. That's amazing.
Standing order for Christmas from a lady out in BC, but because of the postal strike, we haven't been able to do much with her this year. So, but outside of that, there's always those regulars that are even not here anymore. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So there we have it. I mean, generational. It was generational. Her grandfather ran it for so long, and now she's here from Wisconsin. I'm glad you are, Annette. We can't call her Allison. She gets that all the time. Anyway, super, super happy that she and her husband are here, and that the store is still going, because I think it's a little treasure in North Bay. I'm looking down at all of my Christmas kisses here, and 'tis the season, almost Christmas, guys. Do you have your gift spot? I hope you do. Yesterday, I decided to watch one of my favorite Christmas movies, the 1964 version of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. We all know and love it. Everyone from my generation knows and loves it. But I didn't realize what a jerk Santa Claus was in this freaking movie. I'm not even kidding. So I'm watching it, and, there's Rudolph, and he's born, and he's a little baby deer, and Santa comes in, ho, 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 well, Donner, oh, you have this beautiful buck. And there he is, and little Rudolph looks up, and his nose, of course, goes with the red. And Santa's like, oh my God, what is that? And Donner's like, oh, don't worry about it, Santa. We're going to fix it. We're going to fix it. And Santa goes, well, I hope so, Donner. If he has any hope in hell in getting in my sled, he better fix this nose. I was like, what is going on? Santa, why? This is not inclusive at all. It was really mean. And then we get to Herbie the dentist. Oh, Herbie, our little friend, the dentist. He's an elf, but he doesn't like making toys. And then, they're sitting around the table. And that big kind of elf, I don't know if it's he's like the white hat or something, but he just screams all of his lines, which is hilarious. He's like, what? You don't like making toys? And I also love how their mouth does not say anything that they're saying. Their mouth just kind of moves in a cartoon. I don't even know how they did it, because they're not clay. I don't know what the little dudes are. Anyways, it's a pretty hardcore lessons in this Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And I used to be scared so bad by the abominable snowman. The white Sasquatchy guy. And then, of course, Herbie the dentist, like, rips out all his teeth and brings him back. He's a bumble. They call him a bumble. It's crazy. And the dude, silver and gold, silver and gold. Do you know this movie? My producer, I don't know if he knows this movie. Anyways, he's constantly like, picking the ground with this ice pick and then licking it. I'm like, how does his tongue not get stuck on the metal of the... True story happened to me one time. Yeah, I was a little kid and I decided to put my tongue on a metal pole in the winter. Couldn't taste for a week. Had to rip it right off. Anyway, listen. Allison the Bookman. Okay, well, check out Rudolph if you want. It's I didn't remember it being that mean. And then, Santa's all freaked out by Rudolph's nose. They all make fun of him and all that stuff. And then, of course, when he comes back, looking for his parents who've gone out looking for him, Santa shows up and he's like, "Oh, Rudolph, you're back." And he's like, "Yeah, where's my mom and dad?" And Santa goes, "Oh, they're off looking for you." And I'm very worried. And I'm thinking his next line is going to be, I'm very worried because, they could be killed. The bumble could have gotten them. They could die of frostbite. No. Santa's worried because the next day is Christmas Eve and he's basically screwed without Donner, Rudolph's dad. So there's that. I was like, Santa, you're very selfish in this movie. I don't like this side of you at all. I'm just saying. Check it out. Watch at your own peril. Of course, when I was watching it as a kid, I didn't see any of this stuff. I just thought it was great. And it is great. It's great. But, Santa needs an adjustment. He needs to get his priorities straight. Okay, I'm going to read this to you because it was really cute. When we were in Allison the Bookman, she had a little kind of chalkboard up on one of the shelves, and it said, Christmas bucket list for Allison the Bookman. 1, read The Night Before Christmas. 2, buy a book with the word Mary in it. 3, buy a signed copy of Moon of the Crusted Moon by Wabgashig. I think that's how you say it. Wab Rice, who I think is going to be on Backroads Bill. That'll be fun. That podcast. 4, buy an Allison the Bookman mug and gift card. Okay. This was handwritten, so somebody's writing. I'm trying to read card. I thought it said Corel, but that's a D. Gift card. 5, buy a book, of course. 6, send a letter to Santa, not the Santa in Rudolph. And 7, watch a Hallmark Christmas movie. Oh boy. Okay. Ho ho. Super cute. I love it. Aw. I just love going in there. You gotta go. Guys, this took me out. You gotta go. Like I said, it's an experience. Like, you're not just going in there to look at books. Like, there's so many beautiful articles about her grandparents on the wall and just like so much nostalgia there. And the staff is so ready to help you. So if you're just starting out and you're just kind of a new reader and you don't know where to start, think about TV shows or movies that you love, right? Like she was saying, Annette was telling us that. She's like, if people come in and they say, hey, I really love sci-fi stuff, or I really love thriller, or horror movies, they're going to lead you in the right direction because they know their books so well. And Annette's been there for 49 years and they just did their 50th anniversary. So, she was there in diapers, so she will help you. Anyway, go to our website. It's northbayecho.ca. That sounded very bossy. You can go to our website if you'd like, but we'd love you to. northbayecho.ca. You can check out all the other podcasts that are there and, give us a review while you're there. Why don't you? Why not? What would you like to see? Who would you like us to talk to? We'd love your input. I think that's about it. Until next time, much love, North Bay.